It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Finally, even more important than ability to work, even more important than ability to fight at need, is it to remember that chief of blessings for any nations is that it shall leave its seed to inherit the land. It was the crown of blessings in biblical times, and it is a crown of blessings now. The greatest of all curses is in the curse of sterility, and the severest of all condemnations should be that visited upon willful sterility. The first essential in any civilization is that the man and woman shall be father and mother of healthy children, so that the race shall increase and not decrease. If that is not so, if through no fault of the society there is failure to increase, it is a great misfortune. The citizen must have high ideals, and yet he must be able to achieve them in practical fashion. No permanent good comes from aspirations so lofty that they have grown fantastic and have become impossible and indeed undesirable to realize. The impractical visionary is far less often the guide and precursor than he is the embittered foe of the real reformer, of the man who, with stumblings and shortcomings, yet does in some shape, in practical fashion, give an effect to the hopes and desires of those who strive for better things. Woe to the empty phrase maker, to the empty idealist, who, instead of making ready the ground for the man of action, turns against him when he appears and hampers him when he does work. We should not take part in acting a lie any more than in telling a lie. We should not say that men are equal when they're not equal, nor proceed upon the assumption that there is an equality where it does not exist. But we should strive to bring about a measurable equality, at least to the extent of preventing the inequality, which is due to force or flawed. Abraham Lincoln, a man of the plain people, blood of their blood, and bone of their bone, who all his life toiled and wrote and suffered for them, at the end died for them, who always strove to represent them, who would never tell an untruth to or for them, spoke of the doctrine of equality with his usual mixture of idealism and sound common sense. We're bound in honor to refuse to listen to those men who would make us desist from the effort to do away with the inequality, which means injustice, the inequality of right, opportunity, of privilege. We're bound in honor to strive to bring every nearer the day when, as far as humanly possible, we shall be able to realize the ideal that each man shall have an equal opportunity to show the stuff that is in him by the way in which he renders service. There should, so far as possible, be equal of opportunity to render service, but just so long as there inequality of service, there should and must be inequality of reward. We may be sorry for the general, the painter, the artist, the worker in any profession of any kind, whose misfortune, rather than whose fault is that he does his work ill. But the reward must go to the man who does his work well. For any other course is to create a new kind of privilege, the privilege of folly and weakness. And special privilege is injustice, whatever form it takes. The good citizen will demand liberty for himself, and as a matter of pride, he will see to it that others receive liberty which he thus claims as his own. Probably the best test of true love of liberty in any country is the way in which minorities are treated in that country. Not only should there be complete liberty in matters of religion and opinion, but complete liberty for each man to lead his life as he desires, provided only that in so he does not wrong his neighbor. In a republic, to be successful, we must learn to combine intensity of conviction with a broad tolerance of difference of conviction. Wide differences of opinion in matters of religious, political, and social belief must exist if conscience and intellect alike are not to be stunted, if there is to be room for healthy growth. Bitter internecine hatreds, based on such differences, are signs, not of earnestness of belief, but of that fanaticism which, whether religious or anti-religious, democratic or anti-democratic, it is itself but a manifestation of the gloomy bigotry which has been the chief factor in the downfall of so many nations.